This story begins with the village that forgot the sun. In the village of Vesper Hollow, every window glowed gold with lantern light, and every soul who lived there believed, without a flicker of doubt, that the sky had always looked exactly as it did now. A deep, dusky blue, brushed with the first stars, forever caught in the hush between day and night. They called it the long evening, though no one could say when it had begun, because as far as anyone remembered, it never had. It had simply always been. Lanterns burned on every doorstep and every windowsill. They were passed down through families the way other villages pass down rings, or wooden spoons worn smooth by years of use. And children were taught early and gently how to trim a wick and coax a flame. Because in Vesper Hollow, light was not something you waited for. It was something you tended. No one questioned this. Why would they? A thing that has always been does not feel like a mystery. It feels like the weather, or the shape of one's own hands. No one, that is, except a girl named Wren. Wren was 8 years old, with a habit of asking questions the way other children collected stones, carefully, one at a time, turning each one over to see what was underneath. She had already worn out her mother's patience with, "Why does the well echo?" and "Why do cats have evening eyes?" And on the night this story begins, she was curled beside her grandmother's chair with an old, water-stained book open across her knees. "Grandmother," she said, "what does warmth mean?" Her grandmother, who was mending a lantern wick by feel, did not look up right away. "It means the fire is doing its job." "That's not what the book means." Wren tapped the page. It was a painting, faded at the edges, showing a hillside covered in flowers of a color she had never once seen in her life. Not the amber of lantern flame, not the silver of moonlight, not the deep blue-black of the sky. A color the book simply called gold, as though that were an ordinary thing to call a flower. It says the warmth came from the sky itself, not from any flame. Her grandmother's hands went still. "Old books say a great many old things," she said at last, and she turned the page for her gently, the way one turns a subject. But Wren did not forget it. That was the trouble with Wren. She never forgot the things that didn't fit. Over the following weeks, she began collecting them the way she collected her questions. In the schoolhouse, a tattered song still taught to children spoke of a morning that came before the long evening. A word no living person could define, though everyone sang it dutifully, the way people hum a tune whose words they've stopped truly hearing. In the old chapel at the edge of the village, a mural showed villagers standing beneath a great round shape blazing directly overhead, their faces tipped up, unshadowed by any lantern. And in her grandmother's cedar chest, beneath a folded quilt, Wren found a small wooden carving of a circle with rays reaching outward from it like the spokes of a wheel. Beneath it, in careful, worn lettering, were two words: the sun. She had heard the word before, in lullabies, the way one hears the names of places one will never visit. She had never once thought to ask what it meant. Now, she could not stop. She asked the miller, who laughed kindly and told her the sun was only a bedtime word, meant to rhyme with begun. She asked the schoolmaster, who grew strangely quiet and said some questions were better left where they lay, like sleeping things. She asked her grandmother again, and this time her grandmother set down her mending altogether. "There is someone who might answer you properly," she said. "Though I warn you, child, not everyone likes to hear what she has to say." She meant old Marin, who lived alone at the top of the hollow in a house so covered in ivy it seemed to be growing out of the hillside itself. The village children called her the story keeper, though most had stopped visiting her years ago. The way people stop visiting a well once they found an easier one closer to home. Wren climbed the hill the next evening with her own small lantern swinging at her side. Marin's house smelled of dried herbs and old paper. Marin herself was small and slow-moving, with eyes that seemed to hold more light in them than the room did. "You're the girl with the questions," she said before Wren had even spoken. "I wondered how long it would take for one of you to come. One of us. One of the ones who still notices what's missing." Marin gestured for her to sit. "Ask, then." So Wren asked about the sun, and Marin told her. Not a legend, not a myth, but something closer to a memory passed down so many times it had worn thin as old cloth. Long, long ago, she said, the sun had hung in the sky every day. Not stolen, not hidden, not taken by any villain or curse. It had simply been there, the way the moon was there now, except brighter, warmer, and closer to the heart of things than anyone back then had known to appreciate. "Then where did it go?" Wren asked. Marin was quiet for a long moment. "Nowhere," she said finally. "That's the part no one wants to hear. It didn't go anywhere at all. We stopped telling its story." She explained it slowly, the way one explains something that took her a lifetime to understand herself. Long ago, the days had simply been the days, full of sun, ordinary as breathing. So no one thought to write songs about it, or paint it carefully, or teach their children its name with any real ceremony. Why tell a story about a thing that is always there? And so, generation by generation, the telling grew thinner. A grandmother forgot to mention it to a granddaughter who was busy with other things. A father hummed a lullaby without remembering what its words meant. A painter grew old and passed, and no one thought to ask her what gold looked like before she went. It was not stolen in a single terrible night. It simply slipped away the way a name slips away when no one says it aloud for long enough, quietly, without anyone noticing the exact moment it was gone. And once enough generations had passed without the story being told with its whole heart, the sun did not merely fade from memory. It faded from the sky as well, as though the sky itself needed remembering to stay whole. "Then we can bring it back," Wren said. "If forgetting made it fade, then remembering might not be so simple," Marin said. "I've told this story to myself 1,000 times alone in this house, and the sky has not changed for me yet." "Then maybe," said Wren, "it isn't meant to be told alone." Marin looked at her for a long moment, and something in her tired eyes brightened just slightly, like a wick catching. So Wren did something no one in Vesper Hollow had done in longer than anyone could say. She asked Marin to teach her the whole story, every word of it, exactly as it had first been told. And then she asked the village elder if she might tell it at the autumn gathering, when the whole village came together in the square to share food and songs beneath their lanterns. Many people laughed, kindly, the way you laugh at a child's earnest plans. But Wren was patient, and Wren was stubborn. And on the appointed evening, she stood on the old well's stone rim with Marin beside her, and she told them of the sun. She told them of mornings, and warmth that asked for no tending, and flowers the color of firelight but somehow gentler, and a sky that held its light not in glass or oil, but simply within itself, freely, for everyone at once. She did not perform it as a spectacle. She told it the way her grandmother told true things, quietly, and with care for every word. Because a story loved carelessly is a story already halfway to being lost. The square grew silent. Not the silence of boredom, but the silence of people remembering something they had not known they'd forgotten. A feeling stirring in chests that had grown so used to twilight They had stopped noticing there was anything else to miss. When Wren finished, no great light broke across the sky. No sun burst suddenly over the hills. This was not that kind of story. But something did happen. Small and easy to miss if you weren't looking closely. The lanterns all across the square burned a little steadier, and high above, just for a moment, one star seemed to glow the faintest shade warmer than the rest. Not gold exactly, not yet, but perhaps a color reaching toward it, the way a hand reaches toward another hand across a great distance, closing it slowly. No one could say for certain if they'd truly seen it, or only wanted to. But the next evening, more villagers gathered to hear the story again. And the evening after that, more still. Until the telling of the sun became something people did not merely remember, but tended. The way they tended their lanterns, carefully, together, so that it might never again grow so thin it could slip away unnoticed. Wren grew older, as children do, and she kept the story close her whole life and taught it to others exactly as it had been taught to her, missing nothing, softening nothing. And though the sun did not return in a single evening, or a single season, or even in Wren's own lifetime, those who lived in Vesper Hollow long after her said that the twilight there had grown warmer, gentler, richer with color than the oldest villagers could recall, as though the sky, like an old friend long unspoken to, simply needed to hear its name again, before it remembered how to answer. And if you should ever find yourself in a small village where the sky is caught in its own long evening, and the lanterns glow steady in every window, it might be worth asking the oldest person you can find to tell you the story of the sun, because some things only stay in the world for as long as someone is still willing to tell them.